Friedenstein, asking the first question. Thuringia is not easy to get to know. It's not love at first sight. For a fleeting tourist visit, Thuringia is the simple story: Gotha, Weimar, Bratwurst, and then you're gone. I know that from Holland it's all cheese, wooden shoes, tulips, and then you're gone. Would you like to get to know Thuringia? Bring time. And once you've arrived here, you won't want to leave. Ibn Battuta came from Morocco. He was an explorer and legal scholar who traveled more than 120,000 kilometers through the Islamic world and beyond in the 14th century. And of travel he said, "Traveling first leaves you speechless, but then turns you into a storyteller." And that is exactly it. It begins with a question, followed by a journey, and then the stories one gathers and passes on. Who asks the first question? What I'm going to tell here has three parts. First, a somewhat official section with facts, then anecdotes, dreams, stories, and at the end, back to reality. In November 2025, Minister Schütz for Digital Affairs and Infrastructure of Thuringia visited our Duke Museum in Gotha, Germany, and therefore first some facts. Because we connect Gotha with Europe. If we begin with Friedenstein, through this project which I present here, Friedenstein is being transformed into a nationally significant cultural institution. The project is called Gotha Transdigital. Gotha benefits through urban development. The project is included in the Urban Development Concept 2030. The next horizon is Thuringia. We contribute to the development of digitalization in Thuringia in line with the coalition agreement, and beyond that lies Europe. Friedenstein is a hub that connects Thuringia to the European network. Gotha Transdigital is also a project, and it's almost over. It began in 2021 and runs until 2027, which means we have only 18 months left and time is short. It's a 30 million project, half funded through ERDF funds, that is EU funding, and the other half by the federal German government. We have 1.1 million objects here. Around 330,000 of them are being digitized, and 100,000 of them will be made available online. There are 24 full-time positions in our project, and in addition to that there are external agencies, suppliers, contractors, assistants, and we are in close cooperation with other important cultural institutions in Jena, Altenburg, Rudolstadt, Weimar and elsewhere. You can abbreviate us to GTD, which could also mean something like getting things done. But what does Friedenstein contribute to Thuringia? We make a significant contribution in the fields of education, culture, science and tourism. This leads to better cultural infrastructure and a stronger tourism profile. Friedenstein is an attractive employer and a catalyst for innovation, and not for the first time. We improve Thuringia's competitive position, talking about technological independence, sovereignty, innovation through cooperation and jobs. And in short, you could say we make Thuringia more attractive. It's a good place to live. But it doesn't stop there. Our experience and expertise benefit the entire state. Friedenstein is an indispensable node in the state's digital competence network. We should continue this success story and strengthen our connections with the colleagues in Weimar, Jena, Rudolstadt and Altenburg I mentioned before. 2027 is only a stop along the way. Friedenstein is what people make of it. Like a mirror, it lies in the eye of the beholder. Friedenstein is a portal into the universe that makes the hidden visible. It began as a cabinet of art and curiosities where the Duke sought to explain the world over which he ruled, like an encyclopedia to browse through. Whether one is searching seriously or simply for entertainment is not the first question. But everything begins indeed with the first question. In the Ducal Museum in Gotha, there are some 600 objects, 600 stories. Through our project we make another 20,000 visible, and those stories are online in the cloud, plus another 80,000 anecdotes or light stories. You can ask us anything, because we've already been everywhere. The entire universe is condensed into a crystal ball. It shows everything from all over the world and from every era. That crystal ball, my friends, is called Friedenstein. And here we stand, as if in the narrow neck of an hourglass. It is still calm, like the eye of the storm, on both sides the universe. And everything begins with the first question. It rustles, it begins to move. A wormhole opens. Answer follows question, question follows answer. The journey has already begun. We're off. And me? I travel back to my school days. In my history book I found this sentence. Saint Boniface was killed near Dokkum on June 5th, 754 or 55 AD. And I, 10 years old, thought, what does it have to do with me? So many people have died since then, and did the town of Dokkum in Friesland even exist? One question led to another, and history became for me not the story of politics, war and shifting borders, but the stories of people, and thus a mirror for myself. After school, I studied archaeology because I'm interested in people, both those of the past and those of the present. Then I also began traveling. EU projects A, B and C, where participants were gently pushed out of their comfort zones to look beyond their own horizons, only to discover that people elsewhere face exactly the same problems as at home. What a relief. The unfamiliar is not so unfamiliar. So when I arrived in Gotha in the summer of 2024, someone asked me, where's your Heimat? Say, homeland. I could not answer straight away. I was born in Eindhoven, Brabant, but I no longer feel more at home there than anywhere else. So my answer was, maybe not Heimat, maybe Habitat, stretching from Krakow in the east to Leiden in the west, Aarhus in the north, and Ghent in the south. You will notice I'm not naming nation-states. But why Gotha? He persisted. Well, because an interesting position was offered here, where I could contribute much of my experience and still have so much left to learn. Lifelong learning. Only once I arrived did I realize what Friedenstein contains. So far I've only seen the tip of the iceberg. Material and stories from Japan, Antarctica, dinosaurs from Thuringia. Here one finds witness to every aspect of human life, and nothing human is alien to us. Friedenstein gladly opens its doors to Wikipedia volunteers. They call institutions like us GLAM, galleries, libraries, archives and museums, and that is exactly what Friedenstein is. For here there are the foundation of Thuringen palaces and gardens, the Gotha Research Library of the University of Erfurt, and the Friedenstein Foundation, Gotha. But why is all this here at Friedenstein? I can sum it up in one word: location. For centuries, journeys were inspired, planned, financed or concluded in Gotha, and that is still true today. The Gotha Research Center offers fellowships, summer schools and international conferences. Gotha alumni can be found around the world. Yet even as an armchair traveler, you need not leave Gotha. Take one of our subjects and his stories spread in every direction through time and space. Each object is a fragment of the crystal ball called Friedenstein. For example, a dessert plate depicting Gothe's orangery produced in 1842, perhaps in a porcelain manufactory here in Gotha. In the Gotha State Archives, one finds purchase lists and invoices from ducal celebrations. What was eaten from this plate and on what occasion? Was the cook really from Paris? The cookbook they used are still in the research library on the first floor of the castle. And why did the kitchen staff quarrel with the palace administration? That is what I mean by glam. You can take a simple object, book or document and begin with any question you like. You ask the question. One last anecdote, one last journey. His name was Ulrich Jasper Seetzen. Born in East Frisia, he was a physician, explorer and orientalist. He died in Yemen, his journey ending unexpectedly. I quote Wikipedia. Seetzen completed a crash course in astronomy in the Gotha Observatory in order to produce accurate maps and thereby gained the support of the Duke of Saxe-Gotha-Altenburg, who commissioned him to acquire Oriental antiquities, printed works and natural specimens. And if I may say, incidentally, some of these items reached Gotha and are still here today. Wikipedia continues. In the summer of 1802, Seetzen traveled to Constantinople and stayed in Smyrna and Aleppo, where he learned Arabic. From there he journeyed through Syria and Palestine to Jerusalem, the Dead Sea and Sinai. In 1809 he visited Mecca and Medina, in March 1810 Yemen, then Aden and Mocha, and planned to attempt the crossing of Africa. His last known letters date from November 1810. End quote. And soon a child will read in history class, Seetzen died in September or October 1811 near Taiz in Yemen. And then the first question immediately follows. What does that have to do with me? So, back to reality. Here's a view of the River Thames from our collections. Once you go digital, new possibilities emerge. Connecting, making visible, showing what Thuringia contains for people in Thuringia and beyond. But this is only a beginning. By the end of 27 we will have developed expertise in object digitization, but not only that, also in how to work with the digital world. And we will share it with others, creating networks, linking. But still, much remains to be done. Where might the journey lead next? Some 750,000 objects still lie in dark storage. Questions remain. Where did our objects come from and where did they go? There are objects around the world connected with Gotha. That is the question of provenance. And there are not only objects, but also the stories of the people, the communities connected with them. We would very much like others to engage with our digital objects. So the story continues. All objects are connected with one another, with places, with people, with eras, with stories, and perhaps we can breathe life back into the network that once existed. That is what it is about, making visible, connecting, not only at Friedenstein and in Gotha, but also throughout Thuringia and Europe. Thank you.